Right then, hello there. This is an introduction to my new channel. For those who have don't know me, I'm going to introduce myself. This is the introduction to my new channel. My name is Thomas Samuel Appleby. That's my full name. Don't wear it out. I'm 22 years old. Come from England, and yeah, this is my new channel. Some of you may know me personally from obviously my old YouTube channel, which was not really old. It's still there, but I'm trying to grow it out of it. I'm not exactly fond of it anymore, and just wanted a new start on this platform. This channel is going to be completely different to that. The old channel was basically a bit of silliness. It was all sorts. I did a bit of silly videos there, a few good decent videos, a bit of gaming videos, this and that, and there's a few stuff like that on there. That was it. It wasn't nothing spectacular, and I'm not saying this channel is going to be spectacular, but I want to try and create something amazing for not just myself, but for everyone on this channel. That's why I've not instantly gone with this channel and started creating banners or logos. That's why at the moment it's just plain and simple. We're starting to plain and simple, but as we grow on this channel, both me and you grow throughout the uploads on this channel, we'll start getting stuff like intros and stuff like that. But as for now, it's just going to be plain and simple, straight to the back, talking video, no ads, not much in the description. Yeah, the video will probably be shared a fair bit on my social media, but this is a simple introduction. So, why the new channel change? I wanted to make a channel where I could openly talk about how I feel about certain things, or how I feel about certain things that's going on in my life, or we can just have an open discussion about how things are affecting your life. Like, I want to be able to reach out to people, and I want people to be able to reach out to me, sort of thing. Like, it's just like not exactly like counselling or support group or anything like that. Just an open discussion, just so you don't feel so you don't feel alone as much. Because sorry guys, I think I got something in my head there. A lot of people in my age group, in their early 20s, mid 20s, or whatnot, even older, you can have any age, you start to feel like you've got no one to turn to or talk to, or you may have anxiety or depression, and yeah, we're just going to discuss all of that. But for those that don't know me, I'm going to go through a bit of my background. So I do apologise at times if I speak ridiculously fast or ridiculously slow. That's just due to how I feel, and partly being suffering from autism and stuff like that. But let's go with the basics. I'm going to go through this is kind of really like a timeline, I guess you could say. I'm going to go through everything I can think of that may have affected my lifestyle to how I am today. From when I was really young, I always struggled to, I don't know, have friends around me, like friends that I actually go and see or hang out with or go and play with or have play groups with or stayed over for sleepovers and stuff like that. I never did any of that stuff where I went over to a friend's place and slept over or anything like that. And then at school, I was okay at school. Like, I wasn't exactly the best, I wasn't exactly the worst, but I always struggled in certain subjects. Sometimes it was history, sometimes it was maths, and sometimes it was PE, because I felt very, but especially with PE, I always lied to the teacher saying, "Oh, I can't find my shoes" and stuff like that, or I didn't have my shorts or whatever, just because I was self-conscious about my weight. And it's not just weight problems that I've had, because I'm a bit oversized, I admit that, but I've also, in my time being at not normal schools, at mainstream schools, actual schools that you go to, where I've been bullied, attacked, and all sorts, stalked, etc. But going back to school, there were certain times in school, I can remember when I was around 11, 12, I was about to take what we call in the English system the 11 plus exam, which you end up going to a boarding school if you pass this exam. I remember I was ridiculously studying hard, even though I was not that great at English maths, and I was really trying. My mum and dad were pushing me hard to making me study hard, really hard for the exam. And the school I was going to at the time, which was a private school, because they paid for me to be going there, because normal schools was not working. Normal mainstream schools weren't working for me, because I was getting constantly bullied and pulled away from class and stuff. I was pulled out of the exam. The school didn't think my parents would want me to put an exam. So my parents stormed in there, and I had to go at the school, not like a shouting contest or anything like that. I just said, no, we want our son, Thomas, to take part in the exam. So that went ahead, and I went to do the exam with everyone else, and unfortunately, but also fortunately in a way, I failed the exam, but not by a massive lot, surprisingly. I'm talking 5%. I was 5% off from passing, and that was I did feel bad that I failed, but I felt good that I've done so well, because my parents were pleased with how well I've done, and even the headmaster who had doubted me at my school even came up to me after saying, "It's unfortunate that you failed, but I'm extremely impressed with how well you did on the exam." So that went on. They went off to secondary school, and then I carried on to do school. Doing school elsewhere at a different school, and I lasted there at the most a month. And this was quite a terrible situation for why I lasted there a month. It was a case where I was getting better at English and maths and everything like history. I was having to do construction. I was doing everything. I was getting on with most of the teachers, apart from one or two. There was one or two I didn't get on with. That was, I don't know why to this day, still why it didn't really click with some of the teachers. But you have that with all schools, I guess. Sometimes you don't get on with certain teachers, and I was constantly getting picked on or thrown stuff at in the classroom and stuff like that. And every time I reported to the teacher, I was either told I was lying or stop complaining, or whatever. And some of the things I was getting told was, "Oh, go back to your country," even though I was born in the UK. "Go back to your own country. Oh, you ugly packy this," and stuff like that. Disgusting stuff like that. And there was times where it got physical, or as well, where they were kicking me right in the balls, and it obviously is not exactly the most pleasant of pains. I hope no one ever goes through that pain, because it's not exactly the greatest. But got that, literally grabbed by the throat at times and thrown across walls and stuff like that. I've been crazy amounts, to the point where I've had bruises and stuff. I'm not going to go through it all, because it is quite gruesome. And then there was times where, during that time at the school, one of the teachers thought I stole one of his pencils, and he searched my pockets looking for it. Crap like that. And eventually, I was getting fed up with this. I was telling my parents about it, and they was getting fed up, and they said, hang in there, which I was still doing. I was putting my head down and still trying to do well as much as possible, hanging in the school. And I think it was the night before I was due back into school after the summer holiday. No, not summer holiday. I think it was like October break or something like that. And I think my dad's friend came round. He was just talking to my mum and dad and me. He was like, "Oh, how's Tom getting on with his new school?" And he said, "Yeah, right. Apart from he's getting bullied quite a bit." And then he taught me self-defense, which is not exactly a bad thing, because you never know when it comes handy to have self-defense. But the thing was, he basically said, "Don't take any crap from anybody. Literally, either if no one's going to listen to report it, do something about it yourself." So I went to school the next day, had constant bullying, things thrown at me. I got fed up by the end of the day. 4 o'clock, I somehow got to the point where I was extremely angry. I literally waited for everyone else to leave the classroom. There was only me and the person that was constantly bullying me. The teacher was still there as well. She had a back turned, so she was not facing us. So her back was facing us, and she was literally just talking to us. I literally got up to leave. Got my bag, got my books, put them in my bag. Was about to leave. Sorry about that. I think I've just pressed it on the TV there. As I was saying, I literally got up, was about to leave, and he got up at the same time and looked at me, and I looked at him, and literally was going to run towards me. And literally, as soon as you come out of the classroom, you've got the stairways to go around like in an overall sort of circle before you get downstairs, and there's another door, and you head outside. But before that, there's a door on to the right, which leads to I guess a changing room for PE sort of thing. So I literally was about to head downstairs, and he was like, "Oi, Packy," something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but it was something like that. And I just got to the point, and then I was literally emotionally pissed off and upset and everything like that. I grabbed him by the throat, caused him to stop breathing briefly, and literally caught him by his shirt collar, and made sure where the hang a bit of the shirt collar is, and hanged it onto the coat, and then just legged it downstairs, and then all I could hear from the children was like, "Thomas!" and literally ran downstairs. I got down 2 floors of the stairs, and then out of nowhere, someone came, and one of the mates of the person that I had just done that to literally just whacked me right in the face, and that knocked me full on cold. I was gone for a good 10, 15 minutes, maybe more. I don't know, maybe less. I had a big slap mark all over my face, and I remember just getting. Literally, I remember there was like 2 or so people trying to get me up. That had fun. I think it was a teacher and some student or whatever. And I remember just getting up, and I literally just came out to the front of the school. My mum was, so she was on the phone at the time, and she briefly mentioned, "How was your day?" She didn't look at me. She was like, "How was your?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, it was good." And then she turned out and said, "What happened to you?" And I said, and then I explained to her, and she stormed back there to complain. I think she even called my brother as well to come in and talk to the school about the matter. And then this is what the school did the so stupid thing. This was the thing. They then decided the best thing to happen was for me to apologise, but the only way that's going to happen, for me to apologise, but also my brother to then be kicked out from coming to any near the school premises, even though he didn't get aggressive or anything like that. He just shouted a bit, but he obviously at the heat of the moment obviously shouted. But so did the teachers and mistress when they was getting told what had happened. So my mum and brother got kicked out of the school premises. They was told they can't drop me off. They had to drop me off from a mile away from the school. And my mum was not having any of it, so she pulled me out of that school, and that was it. I didn't go back to that school. That was it. I lasted that month, and that was it. I was like, well, at least I'm free. But now, what am I going to do for school? My mum ended up doing a lot of research that night, and a few nights. She was doing nursing at the time as well. My mum was a nurse, by the way. I say was, and you'll find out why I say was sooner than later down this video. This video is going to be a bit long, so I do apologise. If you want to take a break and pause it, go ahead, get a drink, get a cup of tea, get some food, go ahead. But anyway, my mum pulled me out, and she stayed up. I think she stayed up quite late that night talking to my dad. And my dad worked long hours and all, so he had to get up early and come back late as well. So it was fortunate for him. He barely got any sleep, and then was trying to work out what we're going to do next and what we're going to do next. So for a little bit, for about, I'll say it must have been a couple of weeks or so, I think my mum home educated me for a bit, so I was still learning and stuff like that. That was okay. It was good actually. I was not distracted. Wasn't getting bullied and everything like that. And then my mum found an online school called Interhire. So this ain't I'm not getting any sponsorship from Interhire or anything like that. I'm just telling you this. And she got me to go to this online school where you log in, you have an actual teacher with actual other people logged in from across the world. We're talking from China, Asia, Jamaica. You know, there's someone from each country in that school, one way or another. Even people from Australia are there, and you see the teacher. There's a electronic whiteboard. There's a lesson library. There's a homework system, and it worked really well. And I was there for a fair few years, and you lot were probably saying, but that must have been lonely because you don't see them really. Because you just talk to classmates and teachers through the internet. Yeah and no. It was lonely at times, but no, it wasn't all the time. Always through the internet. Like once every year, the school hosted an inter-high weekend where there was either activity where the teacher there was an opportunity to meet the teachers and also your classmates. So I think I went 2 or 3 times with my mum. My dad didn't went because he couldn't get the time off work, so we went with my mum and her best friend and her daughter. And when I met up with some of my classmates, met some of my teachers. Yeah, it was great. It really was great. And then, sorry, I get a bit emotional for what I'm about to say. So if I get a bit emotional, just excuse me. So yeah, that was great. I was studying, wasn't getting any distraction. I had mates that I actually finally had some mates that I talked to. Not mates that I saw all the time, but I had some mates that I talked to either on MSN or Facebook or whatnot. It was good. And then, sorry, I need to stop doing that. And then it came to 2012, where I was starting to prepare for my GCSEs. I had my mocks and stuff like that coming up and everything like that. I had literally we just gone past May, and then June, July period come, and that's where things started to dip down for me, schooling wise. The family. Well, we all then lost my nan. My dad's mum. She was in the kitchen one day in her house with my uncle, just doing the washing up. She slipped and they had to do an operation on her. It was perfectly fine, but coming out of it, she was perfectly fine. And then she started getting forgetful, which was kind of thought was going to happen. And then she just a couple of days later just slipped and not just slipped literally again. She literally just casually passed away, unfortunately. And I did get a bit emotional over my nan dying, but I didn't get as much as I would have thought would have. So yeah, I had that and the funeral. Then went back to school come September, August, and things were getting a bit more stressful for me. Especially also outside of school as well, because I don't know why I just started to feel that I wasn't good enough for my parents. I started feeling like I'm a useless piece of crap. They're better off without me, and started feeling like that. But I was still trying to work hard. I was then missing homework deadline times. I was end up just doing silly things, like avoiding homework by all means. I was still studying, but I was avoiding homework by all means. And then I'll take off my glasses for this because I'm tired of wearing them at the moment. And then come late October, we're talking. Yeah, give you the actual date. The 31st of October. I woke up at 8:15 to look out my window in my room upstairs to see a paramedic car outside as well as 2 ambulances outside. And I remember muttering to myself, "Please not be for here." And all I could hear from upstairs was people, paramedics trying to resuscitate somebody. I didn't know who. I knew it was someone in the household, but I did not know who at the time. I'm missing a big massive factor in my timeline, but just for the record, I was extremely close with my mum. Especially when I didn't have friends and stuff, we was extremely close. Did everything together, cook, clean, did everything together. We was basically like best friends. And I'm sorry, guys. I remember going to the bathroom. I went to the toilet. Had a wash, and then got changed into my pajama. Sorry, my pajama bottoms on. I think I had school that day. I had school that day. I think I had maths, science, and English. I can't remember what I actually had lessons wise, but I know I had school that day. I remember coming down, and I remember seeing a paramedic just standing there looking at me, and then I didn't say anything to the paramedic. I so slowly walked past the kitchen, and then all I could see was a paramedic with his machine out. My mum, laying there lifelessly on the floor, looking like she was asleep. And then all I could see was two paramedics, a male paramedic and male looking at me, and them deep breathing going. And then the paramedic I walked past briefly pulled me inside and telling me, "I'm so sorry, we've lost her. We've been trying for over half an hour." And I remember crying and screaming. When we walking to the living room, my dad was there. He was already on the phone to my mum's best friend, and to tell her, 'cause she was already on her way here. She was coming here for the day to spend time with my mum and stuff like that. Remember, he was calling her and his brother to let him know what had happened. And I remember crying. I remember screaming. Screaming. I'm not talking about that baby screaming. I mean more than that. I screamed quite a lot. I remember when my mum's best friend turned up here, I cried a bit more. I cried more. I remember then before the coroner came to take my mum's body away. I remember my mum's best friend and I went into the other room where to put my mum's body briefly, just to go and see her. And I remember just touching my mum's face so gently. I was like, sleep well. She had died of a heart attack, supposedly, but yeah, and she was only 45, so she was young, and she was the life of the party. She was a bubbly person. Some say I even look a bit like her. I don't know if that's true or not. What heartbreaks mostly of that moment there. Since then, I've pretty much almost forgotten almost every memory of my mum, and I don't remember what she sounds like. I know what she looks like. I've got pictures, obviously, but I can't even remember what she sounds like, and that really sucks. That really kicked me right in the groin, and it really sucks. So I remember after her passing away, I still had school that day. I remember, I think I had a class from the afternoon. I didn't have anything in the morning. I remember going on Facebook. I didn't post like rest in peace, mum, or anything like that. I think, I remember all I put was, I'm not sure if people still do these sad faces now on Facebook, but I put a ... and a bracket facing that way. No, not that way. That way, which was meant a sad face. And I remember my head teacher's wife, so head mistress, you could say, or the director of the school, remember saying what's happened. And I said, "Can I talk to you, please?" So I ended up calling her and telling her what had happened, literally just happened, and she couldn't believe it. And then before I knew it, nothing against her or anything like that, because it's not my fault, because people were bound to know. I had tons of people messaging me and commenting on my mum's wall on Facebook, writing on my wall saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss," and everything like that. I didn't go into school that day. They let me have the day off from school that day. I had my mocks, as I said before, coming up for the GCSEs. At the end, I didn't do them. I also pulled out of doing my GCSEs at the end. Had my mum's funeral on the week afterwards, and that was hard for me, but the actual moment of me coming downstairs was much tougher. I then after mum passing, a couple of weeks had gone, I tried to get back into the routine of studying and then get back into school. It wasn't working. I was getting really bad grades, and it wasn't looking like I was going to be able to pass a single subject in GCSE, and I was. And the school then were kind enough to offer me a scholarship because we were struggling financially with everything, with paying for the funeral and everything like that. We was barely managing to put food on the table. And even with them doing that, which was great for the school to do, I was still struggling over the loss of my mum. I was just dead. I wasn't there. Like, I was there, but I wasn't. It's hard to explain than that. And I remember, I think at the end, it came to a discussion with my dad one weekend, and I was like, I think it's for the better of us, I pull out of that school. So that's what I did. I did what I thought was best and was pulled out of that school. So I did that, and that was near enough to the end of that term. And I remember I was still in touch with quite a few people from the school, like on Facebook and stuff, for a little while. There was one in particular I was quite in touch with almost every day, pretty much. And yeah, I don't exactly know the full story of how, but she ended up losing her life, unfortunately, and that kind of broke me a bit more, even further more, because she was always there to talk to, and I was always there. Well, it was rough, and yeah, I went through losing her as well for a bit, but I kept going. I didn't do anything after I left school. I wasn't in school, wasn't in college, wasn't anything like that. I think I got into gaming. Well, it was into gaming at the time, but I was then focusing the majority of the time just always constantly gaming to distract the mind, or either that or just listening to music really loudly or buying the latest gadget. I remember I probably, after my mum died, I spent probably a couple thousand on not just stupid things, but most, like I remember like the first iPad Pro came out, the massive big iPad. It came out literally the first day it came out. Bought two of them brand new, one for me and one for my dad. Bought speakers. I bought all. So I bought Beats. I bought a gaming chair. I've still got that gaming chair still to this day. And yeah, I must have spent at least a good 5,000 or so pounds of my savings that my mum had saved up for me in my account, and yeah, it was stupid of me to do that, but I was in a bit of a rut. As I say, money can't buy you happiness at the end of the day. That's the phrase there. Money can't buy you happiness. And then it came to Christmas time. It was crappy. We spent it with my mum's best friend's house. It was crappy. Got over that. And then there was an advert for, I don't know where it was, where I heard of it. If you can hear birds in the background, I do apologise because we've got two birds here. But anyway, as I was saying, I saw an advert for a program called the NCS program, and this was an activity sort of program. It was basically you go to PGL Lintonton where you do all sorts of activities like climbing and stuff like that, and you built skills with that as well, like team leading skills, communication skills, all sorts of skills that have been very useful for getting a job or whatever you want to pursue next. And it was for my age group between 15 to 16 to 18 at the most. So I signed up for it, and I didn't think much more of it. And also during that time, I also did a poem for my mum at the time. I did a poem, and I'm not really a poet myself, but I did a poem dedicated to my mum, and I submitted it for this young teen writers poem book thing, and didn't think more of it. And then early 2013, got a phone call from them saying your poem's been selected for a book. Congratulations. How many copies would you like of the book? And I asked for three, one for myself, one for a family friend to have, and one for my half sister to have. And yeah, and that was quite amazing to have. And then a few months after that, I had a phone call from the NCS program saying, yeah, we would like to have you on board. So I had the introduction, met the people I was going to be spending 2 weeks with, because it was a whole 2 weeks. One week in Swindon and another week in Ashford camping. And I had never been camping before, or even been away from home by myself before. So this was going to be something different. So did all sorts of things, canoeing and stuff, and all rock climbing, team bonding skills, all sorts. And it was really good because I lost a lot of hell of a weight. Like, it's not just because I lost a lot of weight, but I gained a lot of confidence. And yeah, there was probably one or two times while I was away from that, I felt a bit sad about my mum and everyone and Becca and Nan and everything like that, but it wasn't so bad. Because I had that, and then I did that program and graduated, and obviously got the certificate from there was a certificate signed from the back then Prime Minister David Cameron and everything like that. And I had a host I hosted with my group a charity event in the town near me for people to do a sport day event. It was basically football and stuff like that. I then hosted that with a group of people, and I also invited a friend of mine at the time to come along and tag along and help, and they wanted to do it, and they came all the way from, I think it was Colchester, they came all the way from, and that's a long way from where I am. That's a couple of hours drive. And yeah, that went well. And then after I graduated, things went a bit pear-shaped for me for a little bit again. So during the time before I lost my mum, and also after I lost my mum, I had a quite a close friend. I'm not going to say names. Some of you who will be watching this that know me probably know who this is about, but hey ho, I'm not here to hold grudges or start arguments. I'm just speaking the truth. So I was quite close with so I'm not like relationship close. I was like really good friends with her. We was like because each other basically brother and sister. Was constantly on the phone to each other or on Skype, always on video call. Like was quite close with her mum as well, her grandparents as well. It just felt like another part of the family basically, and that was all good and all. But after I finished my NCS course and everything, things went a bit pear-shaped between us, unfortunately. I don't know exactly what caused it or anything like that, but what I do know is this. There was a case where it started off with a case where I think it was the day I came back from the NCS course graduation night thing. I joined the group call. She added someone into the group call from the course. I didn't know who it was. She's like, "Oh, you know who this is, don't you?" And I'm like, "No." My friends, I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, come on, you must do." And she got pissed off with me, and then removed me from the group call, and that was it. And I was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "Why did you move from the call?" And it was ignored, and all that. And then the next day, I remember waking up to over 400 messages on Facebook with people accusing me of supposedly raping her or having inexplicit photos of her. Like, what the heck? None of that is possible when she was all the way in a different country while I'm all the way here in England. So, but the trouble is, a lot of people that were told this, and I told them that it's not possible. That's not, how can that be bloody possible? They wouldn't have none of it, and then end up blocking me or just deleting me, or end up sending me a lot of hate through the posts, and also just blocked me, and also so you're a scum, you're a perv, you should go die. Or I'm not going to go into detail the sort of messages, but they were pretty nasty to say the least. And I lost a lot of friends that day. I mean, over 30 or so, and and you'll probably say, how can you say you had 30 actual friends? Well, there were actual 30 friends because there was a lot of people I was quite close to at the time. It wasn't a case where I had one particular person I was close to. I was quite close to a lot of people at the time. And I remember this was all happening on the day of my dad's birthday. I don't remember which one of it was, his 70th or what. And I remember going outside and bursting into tears, and I was just crying. I remember my half sister came out and said everything okay. She presumed it was just I was just upset about my mum, and I said yeah, it is that. I didn't tell anybody what actually was going on. I don't know. I cried and cried, and yeah, and then I fell across a support group on Facebook called Life Revived. It's a great group. A lot of people who are suffering from all sorts, from depression, all sorts. No matter what, if you're suffering from something, you can join the group. Help other people while you're posting on there as well. Even if you're either a form of self-harm or whatever, just it's all there. But anyway, I joined that group there, and I told them what had happened, and there was an admin there that supported me through this. They said, well, they're not worth it, and like that. But and they said, try and focus on what you want to do next in your chapter or in your life. And she was right. So that's what led me to go to college. And I went to a local college here and did computer and IT, because at the time I was quite good with computer and IT. I was quite good with computer and IT. Hence why my old YouTube channel used to be called The Early Computer Whiz. And but by that time I was already starting doing YouTube. I was doing silly little gaming videos, remixes, you know, it was all on there, and it was going okay. And eventually, near the end of the course, there was a photo of me posted by a friend of mine, a former friend of mine. There was it was a picture of me on a Skype call. I think I had my coat still on, and I was posing with a phone case that I just got. It was a really, I don't know, I found it was a really cool Batman phone case. And a lot of people were saying were nigger and all sorts in the comments and stuff like that. And these were people in my course saying this, and the college did nothing about it. I stayed put to the end of the course, obviously, and got my qualification, my BTECs and all that in IT and creative media, but I didn't feel comfortable going back there to do level 2. So what did I do? I did what I did best, and just trying to find another college that I could do level 2 with. So I found one, and it was a bit further away to go. To get a train and do a bit of a walk to get there, but it was sort of worth it. And I wasn't there that awfully long. I was there for a bit, had mates there. Was surprised, actually, probably people I could see and had mates there. I had a laugh. It was going well until one of the pupils there was pissed off that I was quite close friends with their partner, who was also on the course, and then he had obviously said something to her or the classmates, and then they all just stopped talking to her. They just gave me the cold shout suddenly, and it made no sense. And eventually, no one would talk to me at all. Not even the tutor who I thought I got on quite with. No one would talk to me, and I just felt so alone, and I felt depressed, and I pulled out at the end because it was too much for me. I then had a diagnosis for mental health, as well as autism at that time. That's after I pulled out then, of late 2014, 15, I think that was. I got diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which it's autism, but everyone has something. I wasn't exactly upset about that, because I could understand it, because at the time I couldn't really write that well. My handwriting was not that great. Eye contact's not really good. Like at the moment, I've got my eyes closed with you guys. I've not exactly got them fully open. My eye contact directly looking at the camera is not that great. But no, it was the fact I was told by the person that did the diagnosis for the mental health and the autism. It was, and I'm not even joking. The words were, "You're not going to make it in life. You're not going to have a proper relationship. You're not going to get married. You're not going to have kids. You're not going to have a job." Those were the actual words, and that completely broke me. I remember coming out of that room. My dad was waiting in the waiting room, burst into tears, and just wanting to go home and hide away. And that's what I did. And then after then, I got into the habit of literally just didn't want to do anything. So from there, I was just constantly gaming, literally getting up, making food for my dad and I, clean up as much as about above average, clean up around the house, and I would just constantly be gaming. I would probably be spending from like morning to night gaming, sometimes even 2 nights in a row, and then eventually crash for sleep. And eventually, I think a year or so later after doing that, eventually I wanted to try and get back into education. So I did what I thought was the wise thing to do, was try and do my A-levels for media, because I preferred media more than the IT side of it. So media is basically like newspapers, the things you see on TV, stuff like that. So I was doing that for a couple months, and it just got on top of me. I couldn't do it anymore, and that was great. It was great doing the course, and obviously I went to another and then I went, and where I did it, I went back to my old online school of Interhigh to do it, and I made some new friends, met some of them at the weekend and stuff like that. They invited me also to one of their summer party things. It was great and all, but eventually I had to pull out of that school because it was just too much for myself, and that's the problem. I keep getting somewhere and then falling back, but that's the same with everyone. You've got to understand, you're not gonna. It's not a marathon to get better with anything you're recovering from. It's a casual walk. You're gonna have a few stumbles. You might hit a few rocks, but as long as you get to that finish line at the end, that's all that matters. So yeah, that happened. I done a friend of mine from the online school then invite me round to one of their birthday parties and wanted me to stay over there for a couple of nights. So I went. It was good for me to get out of the house, and away from gaming and stuff like that. Thought it was good. One of the last days, I should say, really, we was all meant to go shopping, which we did. I didn't have any money to get on the bus to get back to hers. I let her know of this. She completely ignored that, and she went with all of her friends back onto the bus and left me behind in a town I didn't know, and I was completely lost, and I was there for hours wondering what's going to happen. By then, and then a few hours later, coming late in the evening, her sister and her sister's partner literally found me when were pissed off with me, saying, "Oh, why did you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I did let her know I couldn't get on the bus like that," and they were pissed off with me. They took me back to the flat. The friend of mine who invited me to her party wouldn't talk to me that night. She wouldn't even. She stayed upstairs that night. She didn't stay downstairs at all, where it was all together. And that she stayed upstairs with everyone else and just pushed me aside. The following morning, she asked me to go back home, and that was it. She didn't ask me. She asked her mum to ask me to go, so that was it. I packed my stuff and went back home. And then I heard when I got home that apparently I was reported missing to the police. Apparently I jumped off. I apparently bumped the train, avoided the train, crap like that, which wasn't true at all. And that hurt for a bit, losing her as a friend, because she was quite a close friend as well. And I was telling my friend from online school of this, who I was still constantly in touch with. There's another friend of mine, Nadia, who some of you may know, that who now lives with me and my dad, and she just couldn't believe it. She was shocked, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. I'm getting fed up of being in this constant circle. And then I think me and Nadia lost contact for a while. We not intentionally or anything like that. We just got both carried away. I just went off the radar. Didn't want to be on social media anymore. I deleted my old Facebook. I created a new one, but didn't add anyone on it. She was doing college at the time for beauty, so we was in touch with each other once every other month or so, seeing how each other were. But it was like a brief few minutes. It wasn't like hours on end conversation like it normally would be. And then, yeah, I went through, as I said, a dark path for a long time there. As I said, I didn't bother adding anyone on my Facebook. I was still posting quite often on Facebook and doing silly YouTube videos and stuff. I had mates on the Xbox that I talked to, but they weren't actual mates that I saw often, or even every time I tried to arrange to see them and stuff like that. Oh, I can't, I'm busy, oh, I can't be on. And it's not a case where they didn't trust me or anything like that, because some of them I've already had actually met and done videos with. It was just them, really. And that's where it pretty much sucked. So, after a while doing gaming and stuff like that, literally, and then I think by then Nadia has already come to the country. I'm not going to go into detail why Nadia first came into this country and stuff like that. That's not to do with this at all. That's nothing to do with my introduction at all. But after Nadia moved here, which I thought it's great having her and everything like that. There's no buts or ifs of it. It is great having her here. But I felt alone because obviously everyone has their own lives and stuff like that, and I felt more alone because I literally when I first thought she was, I thought we'd be spending more time, I don't know, doing things in London or all sorts of things. I thought that's literally what I thought anyway. But obviously she has her own life, she's got her own dreams and stuff like that, which is fair enough. So there's nothing against her for having that at all. It's fully spoiled all the way, of course. But I felt more alone. Gaming was just getting more depressing and stuff like that. And I was seeing people's posts on Facebook, and it was just like, where was my invite and stuff like that. I was never invited out, even though when I went out with Nigel to things, I was never invited out. People's claims, oh yeah, you're that friend of yours, you should invite him in too. And then they say that you should invite him too, but she does so, or something that just want them. Basically, didn't want me. The only reason I'll be invited to something as long as she was there, which didn't feel good at all. But anyway, which led me to then try to do this. I was advised to do online dating, which is the stupidest, not the stupidest thing that I've ever done, but that was what I was advised to do. To try and make friends, and it didn't. Met one person on there. It was going okay. She was a bit paranoid every time she heard about my. She didn't really like the fact I had a roommate that was a girl living with me. She got paranoid, and that was it. She just stopped talking to me because of that. We hanged out a few times, but that was it. She didn't like the fact of that, and that was it. And then another one, I'm still in touch now, even though we didn't ever get together or anything like that. But we're really good mates, and hopefully we do want to see her at some point next year. And she probably might watch this video. I do not know, but hopefully she knows. I'm not going to reveal everyone's name in this video because we'll be here for a long while, because we've already been here almost an hour as it is. But she's quite a good friend. I want to go up and see her at some point in the new year. But yeah, I did that. I spoke to her and I felt a bit better, but it wasn't fully that because it was just talking to people online. It wasn't exactly seeing anyone, was it? So and then I've been last couple of years from there, I was starting to suffer from anxiety a little bit, getting a bit paranoid over people looking at me and stuff like that. I don't know why I just did. That's when I got rid of most of my curly hair. I've still got my curls now, but I've cut my hair quite short now. So, if you see, most of the time when I cut my hair short and have a bit of a beard going on, it's me trying to fade away from my haunted past, as I like to call it, I guess, because it is like a haunted past to me. Like my haunted past with all of that there. And then this year's been okay, to say the least. It's been alright. It's not been that great. It's been a bit of an adventure, to say the least. I had my first major panic attack, which wasn't great, and I didn't know what to do because I thought I was gonna die. Managed to pull through from that. I got into a relationship with someone for over a month. It was going good at the start. Was hanging out constantly almost every weekend. I was staying around hers, going to the movies, going out for dinner, me cooking her dinner, stuff like that. It was going good, and I was getting close to feeling comfortable enough to where I want to introduce her to my family, because she already introduced me to her family, even though I know some of them already. And it was going good, and then unfortunately I didn't realise she has a bit of mental problems herself, and I'm not talking about the case where it's anxiety or depression. I'm talking serious problems where I can't, as much as I would love to be able to support as much as possible, I can't do so. I can do so much, but it's down to the other individual to do the effort. And it was getting me ill. It was a case where I had to get police and ambulance involved all every time. I had police around here all the time, and it wasn't great for me. And things unfortunately had to fade off. So, and that's where I am now. I have just recently ended that relationship, and now trying to calm down, because now I'm constantly looking everywhere, judging every sound, every light that I see, just paranoia, anxious and stuff like that. But that's where I am. So in short, being bullied, being judged, being criticised, I've lost my mum. I've lost a friend to suicide. I've lost a friend to just a natural cause of death. I've lost friends just from just betrayal. I've lost partners due to them being too much, or due to them just cheating on me or betraying on me. I've gone through a fair amount, but I'm still trying to find a way to keep standing. So this is why I'm doing this channel, for myself and for you guys to open up. So next time on the channel, I'll be discussing... what should we discuss next? So, how about this? If we reach a like ratio of 5 likes or more, I'll do a top 5 apps to help your mental health well-being. Yeah, we'll do that. Alright. For the next video then, so 5 likes, and we'll do a top 5 for apps or websites that can help your mental health well-being. This has been a long ramble. I hope you guys are okay. I love you all. Take care. And, yeah. Take care of yourselves. And goodbye.